Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely wild. When we look at the telecommunications landscape of Sri Lanka in early 2026, the statistics don't just tell a story of steady, predictable growth. No, they reveal a massive digital explosion. So today, we're going to explore the astonishing scale of this network, the data behind how millions of people are connecting, and the incredibly strict, static legal frameworks that keep this whole ecosystem secure. Okay, let's dive into this macro to micro roadmap. First up, Sri Lanka's telecom boom. Then, devices and data usage, followed by retail SIM rules, and finally, corporate SIM rules. Starting with Section 1, Sri Lanka's telecom boom. To truly wrap our heads around this landscape, we have to look at the raw statistics recorded by the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission in early 2026. Just look at this number. 29,678,856. That is the total number of cellular mobile subscriptions in the first quarter alone. What's literally mind-boggling about this static figure is that the estimated population of Sri Lanka at the time was roughly 21.7 million people. That means there's a cellular mobile density of over 135 per 100 inhabitants. There are significantly more mobile connections than there are actual people. Now, hold that massive 30 million figure in your head for a second and contrast it with this one, 2,732,286. That's the total for fixed access telephone subscriptions during that exact same period. This sharp contrast hits the nail on the head, right? It highlights the absolute total dominance of mobile technology. Sri Lanka isn't just a connected country, it is overwhelmingly, undeniably wirelessly connected. And this comparison brilliantly illustrates the explosive growth trajectory we're talking about. Look at the jump in mobile broadband from 2009 to Q1 2026. Back in 2009, there were just over 91,000 subscriptions. Fast forward to 2026, that number has skyrocketed to over 21.7 million. Now, fixed broadband grew nicely too, going from about 250,000 to 2 million, but the mobile broadband growth, it's exponential. It completely reshaped how the entire nation accesses the internet. Moving right along to Section 2, devices and data usage. Let's look at how users actually connect. So what exactly are people using to get online? Well, smartphones and tablets are the undeniable engine here, accounting for a massive 70.7% of all mobile end equipment. That's over 18.2 million devices. Basic and feature phones still hold a respectable 23.1%, but the statistics clearly show that the vast majority of Sri Lankans are walking around with powerful, data-hungry computers right in their pockets. Okay, so they have the smart devices, but what are they actually doing on them? We see an incredibly even split in dominance at the top of the social media landscape. Facebook, WhatsApp, and YouTube each hold an identical 16% share of the subscriber base. That equates to over 16 million users each, with TikTok following closely behind at 13%. It's a highly engaged, heavily media-consuming population that relies almost entirely on a handful of mega platforms for both communication and entertainment. Right, so we've got nearly 30 million mobile connections and a digital footprint that's spreading like wildfire. This brings us to a vital question. How on earth is this massive network regulated securely? We have to pivot our narrative entirely here. We're moving away from the pure data and statistics to look at these strict, bureaucratic, legal frameworks that are absolutely crucial to keeping a digital ecosystem of this size safe and accountable. That brings us to Section 3, Retail SIM Registration Rules. To manage millions of individual users, the government established static, micro-level requirements codified in the 2019 SIM Registration Gazette. You see that official emblem of Sri Lanka? I want to visually anchor you here because it's so important to remember that these are strict legal mandates enforced by the government. These aren't just casual suggestions from a local phone carrier. If an operator doesn't follow these rules to the letter, they are literally breaking the law. Now, the original legal text in the Gazette is pretty dense, but we can distill it down into 3 static, easy-to-understand steps for an everyday retail user trying to legally obtain a SIM card. First, you've got to submit a signed application alongside a clear copy of your national ID, driving license, or passport. Second, if your current address doesn't match what's printed on your ID, you absolutely must provide proof of your U-address, like a utility bill. And third, the telecom operator is legally required to enter your national ID number into their database before that SIM card can even be activated. No exceptions. And here is the absolute kicker, emphasized in this official TRCSL notice to subscribers. The text essentially translates to a stark zero-tolerance warning. You are personally legally responsible for any activity conducted on a SIM card registered under your identity. Because the registration process is so tightly controlled, if someone commits an illegal act using a SIM in your name, guess what? The authorities are coming looking for you. It's a system built entirely on unbroken individual accountability. Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 4, Corporate SIM Registration Rules. So, individual accountability is one thing, right? But how do businesses that need hundreds of connections navigate these static roles? The core difference lies in the documentation. While retail accounts rely heavily on a personal national ID or passport, corporate accounts require an official business registration certificate. The telecom operator must enter this business registration number into their database prior to activation. This ties the entire fleet of numbers directly to the legal entity of the corporation, rather than just one person. The compliance steps for a corporation are seriously rigorous. First, an authorized officer has to sign the contract. Second, the business registration is submitted. Third, and actually this is vital to understand, even though it's a corporate account, the company still has to provide the name and national ID details of the specific employee using that corporate connection. And fourth, the Gazette places a strict legal obligation on the company. If an employee leaves the company, the corporation must immediately disconnect that specific SIM line. You cannot just pass a registered SIM around the office. That paper trail of accountability has to remain completely unbroken. We've seen the massive statistics of the cellular network and the tight static grip of terrestrial regulation. But I want to leave you with a provocative thought about the future. According to the Q1 2026 data, Starlink has recently been licensed for satellite broadband services through August of 2029. With infrastructure physically moving from cellular towers on the ground up to satellites in low Earth orbit, how will this new technology from the sky reshape Sri Lanka's digital capabilities and its strict regulatory landscape next? It's a fascinating question for a nation that is already so deeply wirelessly engaged. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope it provided you with a powerful new understanding of this topic.